It's time now for business news with Delano D'Souza, starting out with what could be a hefty fine for Germany's largest lender.
That's right, Nancy. Good morning. Deutsche Bank is scrambling to play down concerns it could wind up paying $14 billion to the U.S. Justice Department. The figure was first reported by the Wall Street Journal, but the bank says it has no intention of respecting the amount. Deutsche Bank is accused of mis-selling mortgage-backed securities before the financial crisis in 2008. Now, similarly, Goldman Sachs faced an initial claim of $15 billion, but negotiated its way down to $5 billion in the end. Let's get a check of the markets now. And over in Asia, Japan flew solo this session. Stocks elsewhere on the continent were shut for the Mid-Autumn Festival. The Nikkei ending Friday's session in the green, closing up 0.7%. Here in Europe, stocks have begun the session red across the board at the open. The DAX opening down 0.3%. Shares in Deutsche Bank tumbling 8% at the open. Investors are focused on a meeting by the U.S. Federal Reserve next Tuesday. The central bank is widely expected to keep interest rates on hold for September. Moving on to Germany next, where a country concerned about the effects of the Brexit on its own economy. The capital is taking matters into its own hands and is working to attract British startups. Berlin, for its part, lacks industry or major corporate headquarters, but for a decade now, the city has been successfully investing in digital development. Startups in Berlin raised over €2 billion in 2015. France 24's team on the ground filed this report.
Julian and Tony said bye-bye to London a few weeks ago. These young German entrepreneurs specializing in website creation spent 6 years in the English capital. The Brexit precipitated their return to Germany.
One of the main reasons we decided to leave is the upcoming changes to the migration policy. In Germany, our international team will be better protected against any visa problems.
We were shocked when Brexit was announced. Most of us did not expect it at all. The uncertainty it created forced us to make decisions quickly, and it accelerated our move.
Berlin wants to use Brexit as a chance to define itself as the European capital for startups. The operation to lure the Brits begins this week in the London borough of Camden. Berlin's Senator for Economics has opened an office here with the aim to facilitate firms' relocation.
We do not want to give political advice, administrative advice, but also we want to bring the expertise business people need every day.
With its cheap rents and international workforce, Berlin has a lot to offer the young digital entrepreneurs and also investors who are jittery about Brexit.
That uncertainty means that other cities are looking much more attractive because that's where investors are saying, hey, I can invest in Germany. It's a stable economy with access to the single market of Europe. That might be more attractive, say, than investing in London.
Julian and Tony will now be a part of this development. In Berlin, they'll create a dozen jobs in a booming sector. The German capital is already home to some 6,000 startups.
The Republican nominee for President Donald Trump says he plans on creating 25 million jobs over a decade in the United States should he win. But several economists have already begun poking holes in that argument, saying without a wave of new immigrants, Donald Trump will face a tough time finding enough workers to fill those posts. Trump once again pledged to renegotiate U.S. trade agreements with the world. Take a listen.
We must replace the present policy of globalism, which have just taken so many jobs out of our communities and so much wealth out of our country, and replace it with a new policy of Americanism.
We stay in the United States next, where a formal recall notice has been issued for 1 million Samsung Galaxy Note 7 smartphones. This after reports overheated batteries could explode and lead to fires. Samsung's rival Apple is hoping to cash in from the recall. The iPhone 7 has hit store shelves across the world this Friday. Mark Thompson reports.
They queued up overnight and braced the bad weather. But at last, these Apple fans have got what they came for.
Gentlemen, the time you've been waiting for is here. Here we have the brand new iPhone 7! Yeah! All right.
despite the crowds, the reception to the latest model has been more muted than in recent years. The introduction of wireless headphones in particular caused some to complain, with critics saying it means customers will have to spend more on accessories. The company's been encouraging people to pre-order online rather than queue up outside its stores, which has reduced the size of the crowds. It doesn't seem to have affected the company's bottom line. Apple's stock is set for its best week in 3 years, rising 10% in the week building up to the iPhone 7's release. That after reports that orders for the new model were 4 times higher than the last big launch.
Despite it looking like last year's model, it is still a vast improvement in terms of that water-resistant design. It's got a vastly improved camera as well. The 7 Plus has 2 lenses, so you're looking at almost DSLR quality pictures out of a phone.
Apple is benefiting from problems facing its closest competitor, Samsung. Its Galaxy Note 7 phone has been recalled after customers reported problems with exploding batteries.
And finally, French Defense Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian is expected to head to India next week. His visit will conclude 17 months of negotiations between Paris and New Delhi for the sale of 36 Rafale fighter jets. In April 2014, on a visit to France, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced a decision to purchase the jets in fly-away condition. The final deal is expected to cost €7.8 billion, with deliveries expected to begin in 2019. I'll be back with more business news later on in the day here on France 24. I'll hand it back to you now, Nancy.
Thank you, Delano. Delano D'Souza with business news.